some people that request a video on how to do the big bore conversion for, say, 23cc, a 26cc. So I have an extra motor, and I have the stock 23cc. So basically what I'm going to do is, imagine this is your motor. It doesn't matter what motor it is. What you have to do is pretty much exactly the same. So tools you're going to need, some are different, but you're going to need a screwdriver or something or some even come with these, with this little key right here, this Torx key, and that goes in it, and you can use this that's to take off the head bolt. So the first thing you're going to want to do is find this head actually uses Allen wrench. So find the right size. Okay, give this one right there. First thing you're going to want to do is, of course, pull the motor, take off everything. Put this out. You're going to want to take off your intake. And this is actually a aluminum intake. This is right now this is the 23cc. The stuff crank and everything that was in here is now in my DBXL. My DBXL is now 30.5. To do that kind of work, you will need a piston stop and a flywheel puller. Flywheel puller looks just like this, and I'll show how to use it in just a second. I'll actually pull the flywheel if I can. So first you're going to need to take off the cover and the coil, because the coil is actually connected to the head. If you have a drill, that'll make things go faster. So again, here's the drill. For certain bolts you can get to with the drill. So like these front bolts, I can just get them out with a drill. I did not tighten that enough. When you're loosening stuff, make sure that you don't strip anything. So remove all your bolts. There's two. There's usually 4 on the front. That one I'm actually going to have to get with the... Oh wait, that one's coming. And this is how you would do the big bore kit. And so this one I'm going to switch over, and you got to remove, like I said, your exhaust, your intake, all that good stuff, and the flywheel cover. This actually has a drill start. I personally don't like drill starts. I like pull starts. With drill starts, that's just something else that you have to carry. And now at this point, you can pull this off. And now you're at your flywheel. With the flywheel puller, you have these 3 bolts. The 2 on the outside are actually loose. And as you see on the flywheel, on these 2 sides, here and here, you thread those. And we'll first thread the center bolt out. And then thread these into the flywheel. Actually, let's pull the flywheel. Why not? Let's see if I got everything. That is not the right size socket. Get the tools. One size too big. Usually flywheels are indexed with a key, and I'll show that as I take this off. This is going to be sort of a multi-part. Oh crap, that's 1/4 inch. I need a 3/8. Yeah. Oops. Oh. No, that should have fit. I'm betting that is, yeah, these are metric. Too big. There we go. Okay, now, flywheel. Usually you're going to want a piston stop, but you can use something like this to, got to be careful because there's a possibility you could break a fin just like that. So I'm actually not going to worry about, with this being so soft. I don't have a piston stop at the moment, but yeah, you would take this bolt out, that nut, and then the flywheels are pressed in place as you torque them down. So then you take this tool right here, thread it in place, and you want to get it level so that center bolt will push right on the crankshaft, the center of the crankshaft. So that is out. Now this is just demonstration. I don't have everything I need right now to actually do that. Too big. There we go. So you tighten those down as far as you can because you want to get plenty of grip and make sure it's level so it's pushing, it will be pushing directly against it. And at this time, you start tightening down on this, but you need a piston stop that goes in right here to stop the piston, and this will pull the flywheel off. So that's how that's done. I've already put this motor back together. I borrowed a piston stop from a friend. And that's how I was able to do the 30.5 on my DBXL. Haven't done a running video yet, so yeah, but we have sort of gotten a little off track. But we can get this off and get right back to the big bore kit. So now you're going to take off your coil. Some of these are Allen keyed. Some of them are well, shoot, I can't find that bit. Let's try using a Torx bit. Where are you at? There you are. There you are. That should work. So now loosen up your your coil. Take it off. Remember to keep the spacers, because if you don't have the spacers, it's not going to line up to the magnet on the flywheel correctly. And I'll show those spacers once I get the coil off. So there's the coil. And here's one spacer. It's actually on the bolt. And here's a second. You have to keep these spacers. These spacers are what space the coil out away from the head, so you will get it will line up with the magnets, because this is basically a magneto system. So move all that off to the side, and now we can move on to actually removing the head. Well, let me get rid of the carb mount completely. You're going to need, personally, if you're going to do this, it costs about, shoot, I have my tablet in here. I could give, the part number for this, for the DBXL, basically, CY engines is, CA370. And also, when you do that, go ahead and get yourself a, HD gasket set. They're tougher. So now at this point, you're going to want to loosen the bolts. Mine's already loose because I never really put this engine back together completely. This is basically if this was not on here and this clutch was not on here and the clutch mount, that would be a core, a short block. You can save a lot of money by doing that and then just moving over everything from, say, your Zenoa, your CY engine over to like a Zenoa G320, because a Zenoa G320 core, short block, can't remember the exact name, but they're only about $200 compared to a finished one, which is $450, and you have to realize that you get a clutch, a flywheel, all the shrouding, a coil, everything for the engine to actually run. But if you have the means and you have the tools, you can actually do everything. Okay, now at this point, everything's loose, and then you pick up on the piston, on the head. The head will come off. I lost a bolt. Definitely gonna have to find that to finish this. Not really worried about it. I can still show basically. So now your piston is showing. Piston. So now you have to remove your piston. There are clips that hold the wrist pin in place. So you're going to need to remove the clips. There's one. The kit comes with new clips, new bearings, new spacers, everything. These are different clips from the one that actually comes with the kit. The kit that it actually comes with, the clips that it actually comes with, you see these two little grooves right here. You use needle nose pliers and clamp down on that and just pull it out. So now at this point, you push the wrist pin out. And that will release the piston. It comes with new spacers, new bearings, new everything, but I'm going to reuse these. I'm going to just keep everything in place. Here's the bearing and two spacers. So this piston's shot, so I need to rebuild this top end anyway. So now we're going to take the new piston, which it'll come with a new wrist pin, new bearings, new clips, new everything. But I'm just redoing everything just to show how to do it. Now when you go to do this, you need to make sure you know which way the exhaust port is. So you would take your head and put it like this, and your exhaust port will be facing that way. So the little, either a circle or a arrow points towards the exhaust port. So now you take the bearing, put it in the crankshaft. I'm not sure how well this is showing up on camera. Put the bearing back in the crankshaft. Add the spacers. Just going to add one at the moment. And now, make sure the piston is in the right direction. Slide your new wrist pin in place, making sure you're getting everything lined up. And this is a very simple thing to do. Now your piston is in place. Take your clips. And seat them back into place. Being careful not to let them go flying anywhere. I don't like these clips, but you got to work with the hand that you're dealt. That clip is in. Spin it over. Push the wrist pin in so everything will fit. I mean, this is how easy this is, but it's not hard at all. People are really afraid to do this. And it's not hard. And you automatically get an extra. This actually gives you, I believe, 28.5 cc's, not 29. So now you've got your new piston in place. Now you take your head. And with the piston, there is a little, you can't see it, but there's a little pin that locates the compression ring. What you're going to do is line the compression ring up with that, and then take your head and slide it down. Compress the compression ring with your fingers, being careful because you don't want to break anything. If you break anything, it's not going to work. Come on now. Don't be a butt. Okay, everything wasn't lined up correctly. And now your piston is back in place. Before you put the head on, you would put a new gasket in place. Take your bolt, slide it down through. Get them started. If I can find the other one, I can completely finish it. But at this time, you have, adding the piston and the head, you have now made your motor from a 23cc to a 26cc. No, 29cc. There's honestly, I don't see the point of having a 29cc. Okay, I see right now I'm having a little trouble with it turning over, so I should have made sure it turned over before I put the head on. This piston doesn't fit on this crankshaft. But you get the idea. This is a stroked. The skirt is too long. The piston skirt, this part right here, is too long. But, like I said, all you do is put it back on. Put everything back on. Make sure the exhaust is the little, right on this one there's a circle. So, you just, like I said, compress the piston ring. Put it on there. And seeing this is just a demonstration, I'm not really worried about it working. I've already done this to my motors. Every one of my motors has this done. So every motor is at least 29 cc's. Some are 30.5. See if I can find the extra bolt that fell out. I probably won't be able to, but I mean, you basically get the idea. You tighten down the bolts. Yeah, can't find it. I'll find it when I clean up in here. But so many are sort of scared, intimidated by this. It's not hard, I promise you. It is not hard at all. So now at this time you have a 29cc core, short block, whatever you want to call it. If your clutch is bad, if there's bare metal showing, replace your clutch. If there's something wrong with your flywheel, figure out a way to replace your flywheel. Now at this point, we put the coil back on. You gotta have the spacers. Where did that spacer go? It was just right here. There it is. And the correct spacing for a coil, a lot of people say to use a business card. That works, but if you have a filler gauge, 12 thousandths, so 0.012. No, wait, even smaller. And still smaller. Oh yeah, I was going to use a torque bit for that. When you go to put this stuff back on, make sure to use Loctite. I wouldn't suggest red, because if you ever need to work on it, red, you're never going to get it off. So don't tighten your coil down, just get it snug. And I personally have a filler gauge. I build these motors all the time. I mod them, I build them. I don't show how to mod them because that's my secret. Oh, here's the other bolt right here. So I actually can finish this. Wait. No, that's actually for the intake. No, I'm not really worried about it. So now your head will be back on. Your coil's back on. It's snug down on there. And your magnets are right there. So you need to make sure that it's loose enough that it can line up with the magnets. It needs to be able to move around. So now at this point, get a business card. I personally have a filler gauge if I can find it. It was in here. There it is. Filler gauge. Open it up. And a lot of people would get these and take off the grease. If you take off the grease, rust is going to start happening, and then the gauges are going to be off, because these are very specific thicknesses. So here's a 12 thousandths. It's also a 0.305 millimeter. So I'm just going to put this aside right here. Now take this right here, or a business card. Slide it between the coil and the flywheel. Push down on the flywheel. Tighten it up. Don't go nuts. Loctite will hold it in place. Remove filler gauge. So now you have the proper gap. It's really small. Now at this point, take your cover, put it back on. Summer key. This one is actually metal, not plastic. This is going to go on my ball haul. There we go. Put the bolts back in. Ah, wait, wrong one. With vehicles like the Baja, any type of HPI Baja, the Baja 5T, Baja 5SC, there's one bolt at the back where you actually need to keep it out because that's where the engine mount goes. And so at this point, move back over to the, I don't know what size this is, it should say on it, 5/32. Tighten your bolts back down. You get them started first, and then you can tighten them down. Okay, started. And I actually made this motor smaller. This was a 29cc head, and I made it down to a 23cc. Okay, there should be an extra screw around. Ah, there it is. Make sure everything lines up. I'm right-handed, and yes, it's facing away from the camera. I apologize, but you get the idea of how to do this. It's very easy. You can leave it in the vehicle if you want with certain vehicles. DBXL, you can leave it in the vehicle. You just got to get the cage that surrounds the engine out of the way. Tighten everything up. There are specific torque settings. It's usually about 60 inch-pounds, 60 to 80 inch-pounds for everything. So at this point, you would put your kill button or your kill switch in. Just add everything. Just put it back together. So that's in there. Intake. Make sure the intake lines up with your oh wow, this intake actually has a plastic that basically keeps the heat from soaking into the carb. You don't want the carb to get heat soaked. Heat soaked is basically all the metal getting hot. So now put your carb manifold back on, whatever you want to call it. I know there's a specific term, but yeah. Put that back on with gaskets. I don't have any extra gaskets, so I'm showing the basic how to do this. It's not hard at all. And now once you get this tightened down, you would add your carb. Let's see if I can find one. I don't have the bolts, but I can still show. I know I have the carb in here. Yeah, now you would take your carb and put it right here. Right there. And tighten it down with the bolts. Make sure to put the exhaust with the holes in it. This one actually didn't have holes in it. That's why my 5T ran like crap when I initially got it. I actually added the correct gasket. This is the gasket that goes between the air filter assembly, and so you would put the correct gasket here, bolt this on, and then use this gasket on the outside. And then put your air filter assembly, your velocity stack, whatever, tighten it down. Go to the other side. If you have a DDM pipe, go ahead and put the part on here so it's easier to install the pipe. installing your vehicle. And once you get that done, you're going personally, I like to start it up 25 to 1 when you're breaking them in. So for a liter, 25 to 1 would be 40 milliliters to a liter of gas, or for a gallon it would be 160 milliliters, a little less, because there's only 3.7 liters in a gallon. You got to remember, liters are metric, gallons are imperial. So this is how to do a big bore setup. That's how you change out the head and the piston. That's all there is to it. All you do is remove the shroud up top, which this one is not on here right now. It is. Where you at? Oh, you're in here somewhere. Here it is. This would go right here. You'll remove this. Remove the. You can take off the pull start if you want, but it's easier to just take off the pull start housing, flywheel housing, and everything. Take all that off. Take the coil off. Pull the head off. If it's a 4-bolt, all it is 4 bolts instead of 2. Slide it off. Take the clips for the piston off. Press the wrist pin out. Replace everything. The kit comes with everything, even a new NGK spark plug. Let's see if we can find a spark plug real quick. Here we go. NGK. Put a new spark plug in. And now at this time you would put it in your vehicle. Tune the carb to factory settings. Usually with these motors, a Walbro WT668 is what comes with it. 1 1/4 out on low speed, 1 1/2 out on high speed. Let it idle for 15 minutes, shut it down, and let it cool down to ambient air temperature. I do that 3 times. That lets it heat soak and for things to start breaking in. And then the 4th time you start it, 15 minutes of rolling on and off. Just rolling would mean just slowly getting on the throttle. And one thing to make sure you only get 15% throttle is set your endpoint. Give it only 50%. So even if you give it full throttle, it's only going to go 50%. So you just roll all the way under the throttle and all the way off. Do that for 15 minutes. After you do that for 15 minutes, stop, let it cool down again, and then start it again. And then next time, the 5th, you're going to roll, do the endpoints to 75%. Again, roll on and off the throttle. And then the last time, 100%, roll on and off the throttle. And again, 15 minutes. The 7th run, which it does not take that long. It takes maybe an hour, possibly 2. But then you go to 100%, but you don't beat on it like it's like it's been used. You drive it like you normally would, but be a little easy on it. 15 minutes again, let it cool down, and then run it for 15 minutes. Shut it off, let it cool down, and then the very last time, for 15 minutes, run it like you normally would. Get on the gas, beat on it. Because by that time, everything will be polished, the ring will be seated most of the way. Some people believe that you don't have to break in a motor because of new technology. Notice that is not true. Zenoa says that you don't have to break in their motor. Honestly, if you're going to put $450 into a motor, possibly more if you get like a 34cc or something bigger, wouldn't you rather break it in and make sure everything is done so you know everything's going to be fine? So yeah, that's all there is to it. I didn't do a clutch. I actually have a high response clutch. Starts kicking. This is actually a King motor. I don't like King motor clutches, but it starts kicking in at 8,500 RPM and actually is grabbed fully at 10,000 when you're really into your power band, and that also allows you to give yourself a higher idle. And with the higher idle, you'll have better throttle response because you won't have to wait for it to rev up for the clutch to grab. You can set your idle a little higher. That's why my idles are a bit high on my vehicles, because on every vehicle I have, it has a high response clutch. So yeah, that's it. That is how you go about doing the big bore kit for these. It is not hard at all. If you have the tools, do it. Especially if you have a DBXL. Someone was asking me about how to do beadlocks if the 23cc would have enough power. I run 5T rears all the way around. Usually a DBXL. Let me see if I can actually find the tires. No, they're buried. The tires are actually 5T fronts, so they're a little shorter. I run 5T rears all the way around, and that because the wheels are bigger. If I'll explain this later, but rollout, it for one revolution of the tire, it goes further than a smaller tire. So I get higher top speeds, and with a 30.5cc motor, modded, basically poured and polished, you get all that extra power. You can also get poured and polished heads to put on your motor by ESP, I believe, through DDM, Dave's Discount Motors. I always go through them for my 5th scale. There's also largescalerc.com, I believe. But I always go through DDM. You can get a little mint with it. A guy that sent me his motor because he did the big bore swap. Some guy over 40, that's the name of his channel on YouTube. He did the swap and then he couldn't get it to start. Well, for some reason, the ring, I'll take this ring off to show just what happened. You have to be very careful with these rings because they will break. Be very, very gentle. But the ring groove, for some reason, was a little too small, so the ring actually got stuck in there, so he wasn't getting compression. I took the head off, fixed the ring, opened up the, just use a Dremel and, well, no, I didn't use a Dremel, I used a file, just to file away some of the metal, and then that allowed the ring to expand and actually seat up against the cylinder wall and create a compression, started right up. So yeah, that's how you do a big bore swap. Very easy, very cheap, and it really gives you the power that you want. It honestly really helps. I liked it with 23cc, with 29cc I outrun 5Ts now with a 30. I'm actually running the big bore kit with a stuffed crank, a 2mm stuffed crank, and that's what is in my DBXL right now. It smokes 5Ts off the line, and also a stock 5T, maybe a pipe, has a 29cc engine. But I port and polish mine. It smokes them off the line, and right now, I haven't done it quite yet, but they're getting about 52 mile an hour. I'll do a video. I actually use this phone right here. It's a cheap-ass Motorola Moto E or whatever the hell it was, and I use you can actually see it fell off my X-Max at about 46 miles per hour and smashed the screen some. But I really don't care. I just use it for GPS and speed runs. So that is how you will go about checking, doing the big bore kit. So I hope this not only helps, but also encourages people to do the big bore kit. It really helps with power a lot. You're going to have to retune a little because now you have a bigger combustion chamber, bigger everything internally, so there's more there. It's, as you saw, it's very easy to do. You take everything off, take the head off, replace the piston, replace the head, you're done. So that's it. Thank you for watching. If you like seeing stuff like this, and I actually do have, my 5T still has a 26cc motor on it. I have a stuffed crank and a piston, but I haven't done it yet. So if you would like to see that, subscribe and hit the little bell, and as soon as that video is uploaded, you'll get to see it. So thank you for watching. Peace, and I hope you enjoy. Peace.